Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers and grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FitBody Lifestyle. And this is our fusion hack for the day. And we are joined, well, first of all, I have my most important person in my life and the love of my life, Jamie D. And then I have another important person in my life, Miss Thais Cappelli. And I don't know why we're switching to the Italian accent whenever we say your last name, but it's working for me, so we'll just stick with that. Cappelli, okay?
All right.
We'll just do that.
Sounds good.
even though you're Brazilian, but there's a lot of Italian. There's a lot of Italians.
She is Italian.
Yeah, and you're a lot of things, right?
Yeah, Lebanese and Italian is my most predominant.
Wow. Well, that's a great mix. And you're a great person. So today, our fusion hack is going, for all of our FitBody lifers, is going to be on tips for a successful reverse.
Yes. So the first thing I tell my clients, my athletes, I'm like, when we start prep.
Wait, you're giving them the first thing.
Okay.
I want you to define what a reverse is.
Okay. Reverse is when prep ends. So when your last show is over, then the process of reversing into off season. So you don't just go straight into off season. You have to slowly increase your macros, your calories, and then slowly diminish your activity levels so that you reach baseline again.
And it's really about restoring your metabolism, because your metabolism is impacted significantly during a prep because of the caloric deficit.
All affects hormones too.
Yep. And your hormones.
Yeah.
So it's about restoring. And when I say restoring your metabolism, I'm including the hormonal issues in that. There's a mindset shift that has to occur in reverse. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that. Yeah. It can be, right? Mm-hmm. And what you're going to do is help people make it
Not so yes.
Right. Well, and just to add, I do think that a lot of people find it more challenging than actual prep. So that's why. That's
what I say. To me, is the hardest part of bodybuilding is reversing.
I think the biggest thing that I see in difficulty with people doing a reverse is because there's no specific goal. The goal to get.
You're talking. Wow.
Sorry. Okay.
All right. So let's go.
What is the most?
So the first things first. Let's start prep, knowing that it's not going to be over when the show's over. There's still going to be work left to do. And so you have to be as
whether or
consistent.
not you're going to compete ever in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Because it can ruin your metabolism if you don't. And I have done that. Don't do what I did. Just do your reverse. And so being aware that it's going to be challenging, I think for me is important. Because when I expect something to be challenging, then it kind of allows me to mentally prepare myself for a challenging event of my life. So I'm not just like, I don't just get a slap on the face and get caught without a plan.
Right.
I completely agree with that. And I really wish somebody would have told that to me the first time, because I know you and I had similar experiences, like my first show where it was kind of like afterwards, coach was just like, oh, do what you want.
Right.
And I
Go
remember
on vacation.
And I did. I went on vacation, and I remember my calves, my ankles swelling. I was so uncomfortable. My gut was just it. So there was all these things that happened that I just wasn't prepared for. So I do think, that just that mental preparation, that, this is just as an important time, if not a more important time than even what you were doing in prep. So I love that. I think that's excellent.
Well, the other part that I would add on to that is that be aware is the first point that I think you're making, and we talk about that with impulse control. Is that it's putting space between the impulse and your response, and that comes through awareness. And if you are not aware, then that space becomes very compressed, and you get an impulse, and then there's a response without any space at all. And so that impulse may be peanut butter, and then a little bit of peanut,
about me.
a little bit of peanut butter becomes a lot of peanut butter because you are not aware. You are just almost a slave to your impulses because you have not created that awareness. That awareness produces the space between impulse and response that produces success.
And that especially happens with people that are on meal plans.
That's right.
Right.
Which is why I think macros are so important, because on the reverse period that you're really craving that, you can add a little bit of that, and you've mastered it too. You can be consistent and you can be disciplined, but now what changes? The goal, right? Which goes to our second point, which is having a goal. When I was reversing, my last reverse was the first time that I did a perfect reverse. And so I started prep knowing it was going to be challenging. So, you
were mentally prepared for it.
And it wasn't my first rodeo too. So I knew it was going to be rough. And then I remember I told you, I said, Jamie, I know it's early, but let's just keep in mind, like, how long is going to be my off? So when is my next show? Like, can we aim for this show and that? Because that having and even if that show doesn't happen, just having that date in mind for me is important.
Right.
Because then it gives me something to look forward to, not just blank.
How do you goal set around somebody who doesn't want to compete anymore, though?
Then I think it could be, let's focus on your metabolism so that you're going to maintain, what body do you want to have? Right? If you're not competing anymore, because most girls, they want to stay, athletic looking. Okay. So then we would work on that. Let's choose maybe a weight amount, but I think numbers are important. Something to focus number wise, something more concrete is important to have.
Interested in changing your life or stepping on stage? Join FitBody Fusion today.
Experience the FitBody Fusion difference with tools, knowledge, and community support to reach your healthy and sustainable lifestyle.
We guide thousands on their fitness journeys, from seasoned athletes to those who are simply seeking a healthier life.
Our expert coaches provide personalized plans and unwavering support, empowering you to thrive.
FitBody Fusion is more than just training. It's a community. We understand the challenges of solo fitness journeys, which is why we foster a supportive environment where members encourage and motivate each other.
Join the FitBody Fusion community today and unlock your full potential.
Head to fitbodyfusion.com to sign up for a free consultation.
And do it today.
Yeah, I like that quantitative and then you can even have a qualitative. So with the quantitative, having the numbers, I've actually done it where maybe our goal might be to get up to a certain amount of macros by reversing, but you know what I mean? I think that can be a cool one too, because people go, ooh, I get to, eat more. Yes, as we build up to it, and then I've had other people do something maybe even a photo shoot if they're not going to compete again.
Yeah.
Or something else.
Yes.
That's
yeah, you need something. You can't just look into your future and just be blank.
Right.
Yeah,
you need something.
If you tell somebody,
Yeah.
if you tell somebody your goal is to get to maintenance. Well, that is the goal, but maintenance is a number
broad.
that we don't. Well, plus we don't know what it's going to be. It's going to reflect how your metabolism orients after the show. So it's a more nebulous target versus giving somebody a show of a photo shoot. And I don't know. Well, I don't know what the other points are that you want to make, but I did want to ask. In your opinion, what is the time period that people should be thinking about for a successful reverse?
I think 2 months is 2-3 months. It just very depends on the person's metabolism and how they're reacting. Some people need to go a little bit slower. Some people can't take as much. It depends really what your starting point is. If you are really low carbs, that we may want to go slow. You know what I mean? But also mentality wise is important to see where my clients are mentally and psychological. Some clients I may need to reverse a little bit faster because it's just more, it's not productive to go slow because I don't want them to suffer too much longer. If they had
because they don't have that mental.
Yes, exactly. So it varies definitely from person to person how long your reverse process is, but I would say at least 2 months.
Right.
Okay.
I think at least 2 months.
I like the 2 months, 8 weeks. Kind of as a minimum, time for people to protect that time.
Yes.
During that time, making sure that they're making space in their life to that they won't feel burdened by really
Yeah.
focusing on this reverse. And then after that, maybe you bring in a little bit more flexibility and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I like ranges, so I like 6 to 12 weeks, which is right what you guys are talking
Yeah,
about. So
yeah.
6 weeks at the low end of things, depending on the person. 12 weeks at the higher end of things, and again, it depends.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a reverse can last a
As long as it
year,
takes.
2 years, like,
Yeah.
you know, because that could be a build season and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But we're talking about that
Yeah.
initial time that you're really protecting.
So I have some transformation clients that came to me from obesity. For those, I actually do a slower reverse, because transformation clients coming from from a heavier weight, we really have to work on relationship with food. And that's usually my main thing to work with these girls, is relationship with food. So during this process, I'm focusing still a lot on the relationship with food. And one of my clients is just doing amazing. We've been reversing for 3 months, and the reverse, like, it's still going, but like, she's already like high calories, but she's still thriving. So I'm like, okay, let's keep on adding food. And it's just been lasting so long because she's thriving so well. I
Right.
thought it would have been over by now, but
if
it's
you're doing
still
great,
not.
then
Yes,
why
exactly.
stop? Yeah,
Yes, for
I've
sure.
had those. I love that, because it's like where you're adding food and they're still
They're
dropping.
still
and they're
doing. Yeah, I'm
they're
like,
doing-
okay, then let's keep going.
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
let's see how much food you can handle. Right? It's
Yeah.
great.
That's
Okay,
fine.
so we have be aware, have a goal. Is there a third?
The third was have accountability, someone to hold yourself accountable, your coach, or, sticking to your coach is important.
Right.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't have a coach, maybe they have a training partner or something
Yeah.
else. But I mean, having a coach, I do think, is the most helpful for most people, because you do have that person you're reporting into, and and that's helping you to hold yourself accountable too, because you're taking your pictures, you're doing those kinds of things.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
And I could say that have accountability, because I don't know why some people just bristle at that word, because they think it's there's a guilt association with that. It's really not. It's really structure. Accountability is structure. There's a plan. You're going to execute on that plan, and you're going to hold yourself, and I'm going to hold you accountable against that plan. And that's really, I mean, it's really just another way of saying structure. But structure without accountability is not structure. That's anarchy. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I agree.
All right. Anything else on this, or are we good?
I think.
yeah, those were
Okay,
those
all
were
right.
great
Those
points.
are-
I
Well,
love
you-
it. I love that.
Jamie
Yeah.
wrote something for me, and I swear to God, I need an Egyptianologist or something in here to translate the Sanskrit or hieroglyphics or whatever. I mean, honey,
Okay, moving on.
Okay,
and
we
not
need to- we
talking
need to
about
talk
my
about-
poor penmanship.
Thais, tell people how to get a hold of you.
Instagram, which is Thais.wellness, or FitBodyFusion.com. Request a consult with me.
And I would encourage you to do that. Thais works with bikini athletes, wellness athletes, and fit model athletes. She is
And transformation. That's
And
something I
transformations.
actually
Transformation
forgot to
lifestyle,
mention
right.
on the previous episode. I love working with these girls. I mean,
You've done.
Yeah,
You've
you've
done
had
some
some tremendous work.
incredible
Yep.
transformations.
yes. Yeah.
And-
I had one client, she started with me at 210 pounds. She did a show in November, 134. I mean, and it was amazing. I was like, you went beyond every goal that we had. It's probably one of my most proud works, because, and I have some girls, sometimes they're like, oh, but my starting point is not like I don't have muscle. It's okay. Like, we're going to work with where you are right now, and I love that.
And I do think that's something worth mentioning, is that we talk a lot of this show about competitions and the stage, and that's a part of bodybuilding, but it's the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the lifestyle. And so the lifestyle really shows up in the transformation piece, because there may or may not be a stage in the offing and that, but the lifestyle is the lifestyle. And the lifestyle is the process. And so that's why we always talk about process over outcome, because when you live the bodybuilding lifestyle, then competing is always an option for you, but we really want to emphasize the lifestyle. And that's something that I think
The
Thais, you
benefits
really
from that
embody.
go far
Yeah,
beyond
right.
competing.
I think
Yeah.
that's why I do so well with these girls, because my coaching focuses a lot on living the life that with balance and intention. And I mean, I don't care what your starting point is. There's always room for improvement in your mindset, in your relationship with food, how you see these things. And so I'm really big on teaching my girls how to have a good relationship with food. And especially for those girls that come from a food addiction background. For me, with my background in counseling and mental health and social work, it really combines everything together.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And that's why I've seen your athletes and I'm talking about the transformation people that are athletes now thriving even after the weight loss, because losing weight is the easy part.
Yes.
It's then having the lifestyle to keep
yes.
it off. And we see this all the time. You know, people lose weight, they feel great. Next thing you know, they go back to their old habits, and then they undo all that hard work. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I think that really is the.
For sure. Yeah. My best friend, she has lost over 150 pounds. And sometimes she comes to me and she's like, I'm just, not happy with where I am. And like, I still sometimes feel like I'm the old girl. And I'm like, what do you mean you feel like that? Like, you are not only already at the very top because you lost all that weight, but you kept it off.
Right.
You kept it off. Like how, and if you look at the statistics, a lot of people that lose weight, they just stop eating or whatever, just do cardio and drop all the weight. Okay. Most of them go back.
It's not sustainable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of them go back. Like, you were able to keep it. And that's my goal with these transformation clients. That's why I focus so much on relationship with food.
Right.
Like, let's find another thing that you can do to release what you were trying to get from food.
We were talking about it this weekend with the GLP-1s, the Ozempics, the Mounjaros, those things, is that there's a population that, they lost a ton of weight, but they haven't changed their underlying habits. So they have not changed their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So are they really any healthier now than they were before they started these things? Because without those, that's right, lifestyle is the most important.
And food addiction is so hard to work with, because if you look at, and I have worked with addicts before, substance addicts, and it's like, well, a lot of the times what we advise them was stay out of the environment where you would see the substance that you're addicted to. How do you do that with food?
Right.
You can't. You can't do that.
Well,
because
and you also
need
don't
food
want to be
survive.
afraid of food too. So there's that two sides of things. Yeah.
So it is a much more complex, and in my opinion, it is something that we don't focus enough, because society nowadays has a huge problem with addiction with food.
Oh, you're right.
And it's not seen as something that we really need to help these people with, because it's still an addiction. It's still going to cause long-term effects. It can cause death. I mean, number one cause of mortality in the U.S. cardiovascular disease based on lifestyle. So, we need it's a health crisis to have the food addiction in America is a health crisis that we are not looking at.
Right. Well, we are.
Yeah. I mean, society is just overlooking in general.
And before we pop the lid on a full-on episode, which that would be a full-on episode.
That would be a good episode.
It would be.
And
so we'll put that on the back burner. But for
Yeah.
now, we are going to ask you guys to be addicted to liking, comment, and subscribing to the show, and leave your reviews. Be addicted to that. Yes, be addicted to that. And send us subscribers, because that helps us build the channel and build the content. So we appreciate all that you're doing. And
I just enjoy seeing how you're going to weave this in.
Weave it in. Yep. It's a constant innovation.
Yes.
And remember the 3 B's. So start us out, baby.
Be good to yourself.
Be good to each other, and be safe.
See you next time.
You didn't join me on that one. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.